Hi there, everyone. Hi, Vorian.
Hi everyone. Hi Rita.
So good to
We
be.
are back.
We are back. Absolutely. So we're continuing today with our focus on the Influence Mastery series. And we are talking about how to influence or how to shape outcomes that matters. That is a topic. And we are working on the 5 week intensive training with maximum 8 women in the group. And we're sharing a bit about the experience we have and what the focus is on. And last time we talked about the being, and we're moving into another part of knowing ourselves. And you, Vorian, are really going into the depth of what gets in the way for us to something get to what we deeply want. So I would love to hand that over to you. Uh, what is getting in the way?
Yes, well, most of all, what gets in the way is ourselves, isn't it? And a lot of times we get to move ourselves out of the way. And the only way to do that is to really understand who we are and what triggers us and what's going on emotionally in our lives. Or when we feel emotionally triggered in a conversation or getting out there in a meeting, well, what is it that is actually triggering us? What's there? And a lot of times we speak about, well, he said or she said, or I freeze up, but we don't really go to the bottom of what is that core thing that is causing these reactions in me. And a lot of times there are actually just a handful of core emotional triggers, but they have a whole range of symptoms. And so we get to look at our symptoms. We had one person on our previous series that said, "I freeze up. I just freeze, and then I can't see anything. I can't do anything, and I'm stuck there." And then we get to see, okay, what is it that is causing that freeze? Yeah, what is that? And personally, for example, when it comes to where I can feel very heated, like I get this very strong adrenaline kick in my body, and I almost want to go out there on a fighting spree, that is when I feel that my freedom is taken away from me.
Mm.
Like I don't have, and it has taken me time to understand that that is what actually is the root cause. So that might be a symptom there, but I feel like, well, I don't have the autonomy here to take a decision, or I wasn't asked. Of course, I'm going to say yes, but I wasn't asked. I was taken for granted. I don't like that. I don't like to be taken for granted. I want to be asked.
Mm.
And so there are these kind of triggers that actually has to do with autonomy, with freedom. Yeah.
Yeah, that resonates with me as well. I mean, when I look at myself, I can go far and beyond, but if I'm feeling that I'm taken like for granted, I
Yeah.
will not even negotiate it for my life because I just, that thing of feeling that, yeah, of course, I expect that from you anyway. Like that's a showstopper for me. And luckily to know that about myself could help me to step away from that and start to think, what is that all about? Because actually it's holding me back.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. And then also saying them what we need to say next time, okay, this is fine, but next time I actually like to be asked, even though you know that I will say yes or whatever, that to express that to others so that they also learn what is important for us.
Hmm. So what stands in the way? Are there any typical things that stands in the way from I'm on a mission, I want all these things to actually moving it forward? What can stand in the way?
So what we do during the series is to identify all of these triggers inside ourselves, of course. But the most important thing here is, well, we get to identify them in ourselves so that we can move beyond ourselves. But also realizing that every human being that we interact with has the same emotional triggers. They're universal, just the symptom is different. And so when we are interacting with others, we can make a lot of preventive action for these triggers not to blow up on the other side by making sure that people know what their role is, that all of these things that we can help to ease the situation. And if we get an emotional trigger from the other side, and a lot of people ask me, what do I do with somebody that is emotional? Well, first of all, we get to control our own emotions by having an emotional person on the other side can trigger a lot of emotions within us. So getting that into control to start with, but also to then identify, well, this is another human being that I have on the other side. It's most likely one of these emotional triggers. Let's see how we can fix this so that we can continue having a fruitful conversation.
Yeah, yeah, that's powerful. There's another aspect of what can get in the way, and that is around fear of conflict. I don't want to have conflict. I'm avoiding conflict for at all costs, right?
Yes,
And one of the angles that we are coming in with, and something that personally I know has been very important and progress in my own work, is to see conflict actually as an opportunity to get to something bigger. Like I said, what is this problem designed to solve? But you can also say, what is this conflict designed to create? Like to angle it differently. Yet it is one of the biggest thing that can hold us back. Can you talk to that a
absolutely.
bit?
Yes. So there, I would like to say this. If there is no conflict, there is no change. So you're not getting anywhere. And or if you're getting everywhere with what you're doing, you're probably not asking for enough in your life. Then make your ask bigger because the conflict, that friction
Hmm.
is what's going to make things grow and creativity is going to come out of it. And yes, it is uncomfortable sometimes, but when it is a little bit uncomfortable, we also know that something is happening there. And it will deepen the connection with the other side. When we get to work with this friction, with this, I'm not really, it feels uncomfortable, but we resolve it together with the other person, that or the other group, even those bonds, those connections are going to be much deeper, and you are going to work because we have long-term relationships. So we work with having better and deeper connections and relationships, and then we really pave the way for the big outcomes.
Yeah. And what I love is the experience, in the when we look at this intensive. So first of all, it is intensive work over these 5 weeks where, we're meeting every week for 2.5 hours on Zoom. And then we are in kind of daily connection with all the participants where we're coaching them, we're advising, we're showing up. And the beautiful thing is that we have real examples showing up in the moment, right? We've had clients who coming in and say, okay, I'm faced with this right now. These are my emotions coming up. And
Yeah,
we have been then be able to say, okay, what is that? Let's get curious about that, to demystify your own feelings so that you see that whatever conflict, it has nothing to do with your self-worth. It has to do with a situation that you get to look at. Now let's look at it from compassion, curiosity, and whatever it is. And I think being in that container that we hold for these 5 weeks and really like bringing the real world, not like some mock-up training, but it's actually a real thing, that was impactful.
Yes, we're working on the live situations, and everybody is in a live situation all the time because people are not closed into their houses. They are in conversations every day, whether that is with their spouses, their bosses, colleagues, all the time. There is something, somebody's buying a house, you name it, there is always something going on. And this is, of course, then put live into the series where
Yeah.
we get to practice on our everyday. And that is what makes it, I love that because it makes it so impactful and we can bring with us the learnings into to what's going on.
Yeah, and in particular this what stands in the way. You know, when you we heard people coming back and like really by identifying what is standing in their way, by them actually seeing, oh my word, I'm actually standing in my own way here. That opened the gate to fast track.
Yes.
And that is what this is all about. We are, again, our clients are women who are solving complex things, whether big scale, small scale. Time is of the essence. That is why this part is just so incredible. And the other thing I remember is like when I reflected on what they came in with, I want to work on this. And then by the end of this series, see what they really worked on, what really changed is telling me you actually don't know until you're out of it. And you see, this part was nothing compared to what this result is all about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And as one of them said, I don't understand what I was doing all of that before. And now it's like so clear and looking back and say,
Yeah.
why was I doing all of that? But
Exactly.
we need the clarity and understanding the mechanics of a few things and
Mhm.
practicing new ways of looking at situations, but also new ways of dealing with them. And we haven't spoken about that, so we will leave that for the series. But a lot of times, these emotional drivers that we have that trigger us also kind of show us how am I dealing with conflict, my go-to dealing, trying to only persuade the other side until I'm blue in my face and not getting anywhere. And then not seeing there are options, there are other ways you can do it.
Mhm.
And so going back to, okay, now I understand why I'm always defaulting into this. And now we are going to look at, well, there are other ways. Let's see. You are now, all the time doing this thing, and we are giving a lot of possibilities and different ways of handling conflict. So this is also
Incredible.
very exciting because we build a whole world around conflict because that is when we need to influence and get to influence the change that we want to see.
Yeah. Thank you, Vorian. This is really exciting. And what is the next topic that we're going to focus on in the next live session?
Well, we're going to talk about knowing what you want.
Oh,
And it sounds
I
so obvious,
I know.
but so many times we end up not really knowing.
Oh yeah. I that question I've had so many times. So what do you want? And the only thing I get is everything they don't want,
Yeah,
which
exactly.
has a lot of clues. It has a lot of clues, right?
Yes.
All right, fantastic. Again, I invite you listening in, put your comments in. If you're curious about it, DM us. We are starting this up on the 8th of September again, on the Monday, 7 p.m. Central European time, and we'll share more information in the chat. So we see you on the next live.
Bye.
Bye.